Hello everyone, this is Genius Yoshi, and today we are playing a villains deck with some pirates in it. Now this might be because Halloween is coming up in a few days at the time of filming this video, or because I really wanted to try Big Hades and just give him a shot. But things are feeling spooky. So, what is the card we're playing today? It's Hades, King of Olympus, a 6/7, 4/8 Shift 6, and his big ability outside of his powerful stats is the ability to quest for 1+1 for every other villain in play. And if you can shift him on a smaller Hades, you can activate this big quest all in one turn. So it's pretty cool. Overall, I don't think it's a particularly powerful card, but we'll see some pretty nice use cases in the games. I hope, at least. But first, we gotta build that deck. So, we're gonna be playing 4 copies of the uninkable 8-drop, mostly to highlight his power in the video. And we need a good shifting target, and what better than the 4-drop Hades, Lord of the Underworld. 3/2, when we play him, you get to pick up a character from your discard pile and add it to your hand. It's another uninkable card, but that's alright. Then I was looking at what are all the villains that we can play? And Amethyst has a lot, but I wanted to try something different, and I decided to go with Steel because Captain Hook is a pirate. And we're going to be playing the Captain of the Jolly Roger in 4 copies, as well as Fire the Cannons, which plays with Captain Hook, Captain of the Jolly Roger, because it gets to pick him back up. And suddenly we have Hades that can pick up Captain Hook, that can pick up Fire the Cannons, and we have all of this pick back up from the discard pile abilities with, well, 3 villains so far. We need more villains, and we need more pirates, and, well, we need inkable cards, because so far we have a full 16 non-inkable. So we'll try to get everything else to be inkable. We have the Forceful Duelist, another version of Hook, another villain. So nice inclusion there, keeping on the theme of our pirates and villains. We also have Hans, 13th in line, is also a villain, a prince, and well, has 13 in his name, so perfect for our Halloween team deck. And then there's another villain in combination with Tekka, Heartless, a 5/5 for 6. It's fine to add to our pile of villains. Okay. Alright. So then we're playing Amber Steel. Do we want to include a whole new world? Do we want to grab your swords? Well, I think we're kind of at the limit of our uninkables already. Actually, I'm pointing at the wrong ones. It's that little T over here. So, I don't think we want to include the power songs in this list. We're going to be playing this old style with the Fire the Cannons and Captain Hook as our sources of removal. We do need a bit more removal, so we're going to be adding a full playset of Smash. Nice inkable targeted removal spell. Alright, well, we're playing Amber. We pretty much have to play Rapunzel. It's too powerful of a card. She's not a villain, she's a super graceful, nice healing card. But from the other side of the table, she looks like a villain. Trust me. Well, I bet you've been on the other side of the table of Rapunzel, and it's not fun to have her play against you. We'll also be playing some Tinkerbell Giant Fairies and some mid-tier Tinkerbells because the Giant Fairy is just so good, and Tiny Tactician can actually come in handy with her draw card, discard a card, because Hades feels much better when you have something in the discard pile and you can use Tinkerbell's ability, draw a fresh card, discard something, pick it back up with Hades. Same thing with Fire the Cannons, you can just throw it to the discard and pick it right back up. So the Tiny Tactician's ability comes in quite handy here. So now we take a step back and look at our curve. We have some early game removal. We have 4-drop, 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 4-drop. Ooh, that's a lot of 4-drops. And then the question is, should we drop one? Well, our villains and the Hades are kind of a core pieces of the gameplay and the game plan, and Rapunzel's just too good. So what we're going to do, So we're going to sacrifice our tree slot a little bit, and we're going to aim for the 2 to 4. So our curve is 1 drop on 1 or nothing. Turn 2 lantern, and that allows us to sacrifice a bit in the 3 drop slot and put a bit more in the 4 drop. And we can even mulligan slightly aggressively towards the lantern. We do have to be careful about our amount of non-inkable, especially in the 4 drops. Also, it's another uninkable, and now we're really at the limit of 20 uninkables. But we want to play all of those. We want to play our fighter cannons. We do have Tinkerbell has a little bit of a backup strategy where you can throw one of these away. Lantern is really close to an inkable card since it provides ink, so it's not as bad as another uninkable. Also, it costs 2, so if you can't play Lantern, well, you've mulliganed wrong if you had it in your opening hand. So now we're missing 12 cards. And yeah, we've been going with full play sets of everything, but we want inkable stuff, and we've already asserted our game plan to be Captain Hook, Captain Hook into Lantern into 4 drop. So we don't want to overcommit into the 2s. Actually, maybe we skip the 2s altogether. Let's really hope for that Lantern. Otherwise, we have the Hook Fire the Cannon to kind of set up early removal. We can skip turn 2 and then turn 3 go Tinkerbell Smash. And that's probably fine for the early game. So let's look for late game inkables. We definitely want some 5 drops. Do we have 5 drops? No, we go straight from 4 to 6. So we want some 5 drops, inkables. Beast is pretty good. So play a full play set of beasts. Captain Hook, Thinking a Happy Thought, would fit with our pirates and villains, but it's not inkable, and we really can't afford any more of those. So we'll go for the next best thing, which is probably Maximus. Just 4/5 bodyguard with support, fairly decent. And now there's nothing else really outstanding at 5. I mean, there's Cerberus or Goofy are probably our best option at this point. On 6, we already have a pair of 6. Let's go after a Carefree Surfer. We're already committing to going big. Since our game plan is to go after the big Hades, we have some level of control, although not that much, but small character control with the fire cannons, the smash, and the recursion here. So we're going to go big with our other threats. And if we ever get into that top deck mode, well, Stitch and Rapunzel can help us draw more cards, and we just have a lot of very powerful characters. So we have our villains, and we can stack a lot of villains because Hades can bring back a Hades, and in the late game we can end up with a board full of Hades out of nowhere, and then we can shift the big Hades, King of Olympus, and surprise our opponent with a bunch of lore. So I hope that you'll enjoy this video, and the theme of Hades, villains, villainous pirates, and their accomplices, as we bring the deck into some action with some games coming right up. Let's see what we can do when we use the cards from the Underworld. Alright, we have too many Hans and their scary faces. We're gonna send those back, send the Hook back, keep some inkables, and hope for a Lantern. Actually, let's keep a Hans. I like Hans. I think I preferred the hand before. We'll ink a Tink, then pass the turn back. Oh, Ruby. Let's send a smash to the ink pool. What would be the ink that Austin Powers would use? He'd be playing Groovy, baby. Now, I'm not sure if most people on this channel will get the reference, but also tells a little bit about my age. Ooh, Gaston. A prime target for fire the cannons. Do I want to send Beast to the ink? Yeah, let's ink Beast. Kind of want to be more ink efficient than that. Alright, let's go Tinkerbell. Let's try to be ink efficient here. We can fire the cannon anytime we want, right? Just take out that Gaston. Opponent inks a smash. And plays their own copy of Tinkerbell. So Ruby Steel. I think we have to ink our big Stitch now. Now let's go Hans. Apply some pressure. Now we have the Hans fire the cannon combo. Wombo combo pinging for days. Until he gets taken out by combat. Which typically happens pretty fast. Well, since our opponent is playing Steel, we need to be careful about the Steel Songs of Doom and the Tinkerbell. Tinkerbell is doing her usual I hit like a truck. Alright, so what do we do here? We can fire the cannon at Gaston, or we can shift the Tinkerbell, ping him both, then fire the cannon at Gaston. But we'd have to ink a Rapunzel, which I don't really want. Do I have anything in the discard? No. Do we want to activate Tinkerbell's ability? I think we just want to hard cast Rapunzel. Hope for an inkable. Let's heal our Tinkerbell. Draw a card. It's not inkable. I really do have to ink something here. So I'm going to ink Tinkerbell. I'm going to take out Gaston. And we'll pass the turn back to our opponent. That's the type of turn that's going to define whether I win or lose this game. So many lines of play, so many decisions. And please take a moment to write in comments below how I made the wrong decision and what you would have done instead. Of course, you do have the benefit of being able to watch the rest of this game before making that decision, which makes your life a lot easier than mine at this very moment. Ooh, that's nice. That's a very nice Captain Hook. We get a pig back up, a fire the cannon. Hans goes, no! And ping their own Hans. And we fire the cannon at it. And then I want to quest with Rapunzel, but not Tinkerbell, because I don't want Tinkerbell to take out something and ping Hans. Although if our opponent has another Tinkerbell, then it's Tinkerbell, take out Rapunzel, ping Hans. And things aren't pretty. So grab your sword would do the same thing. Although it's not so bad because the opponent would spend the card. Activate Tinkerbell. Ooh, Dragonfire. Dragonfire for Captain Hook. I'm happy with that trade. Tinkerbell takes out our Hans, 13th in line. Is that 13th in line? Yes, 13th in line. Alright. So our Tinkerbell took some damage. I'm happy to trade Tinkerbell here. Yeah, let's go trade. Tinkerbell for Tinkerbell. Seems fair. I mean, can't argue with that. And then we're going to play Hades, pick back up the Tinkerbell, and ink the Tinkerbell. And I think that's it. That's a decent turn. I'm happy with that turn of event. Or the events of that turn. Ooh, Aladdin comes in. Well, if you're going with Aladdin, How much is a shift? Shift 6. Let's just hardcast Tekka, and we'll keep the surprise shift to Hades, play Captain Hook, and quest for 3 with big Hades, or fight. I think so, or do we want to ink Hook, and then if we draw an inkable, then we can just hardcast the Hadesies. Yeah, let's try to reach that 8 ink. And that Aladdin has us pretty much brick-walled here. Except for Tekka. Ooh, Brave Little Tailor goes into the ink pool. As the opponent has now exceeded the Be Prepared ink and decides that it's time to change to a whole new world. Hardcasted, not sung. That's a mistake. You should sing it if you can. Alright. Whole new world, a whole new game. And a fresh set of cards. Shield of Virtue and a Hook. I'm tempted to double Hans. Or to go after Beast. Yeah, I want to ink something here. Probably want to ink that Maximus. Beast is nice to take out the shield. I think I want to start questing a bit more aggressively. So 8 is all I'm going to get. I'm afraid of just tapping out and going double Hans. So I'm going to go Beast. Take out your shield. Don't really want to play the smash. I guess I'm okay smashing Hook. Just taking it out. And then if you want to trade with Hades, trade some damage, or trade completely with Tekka, I'm fine with. But I'm not giving you my Rapunzel for free. Even though I can pick her back up. Opponent sings Be Prepared. That's the way to do it. I was somewhat prepared, well, as prepared as you can be. And there comes Aladdin number 2, Shield of Virtue number 2. Opponent was more prepared than I was. But now's the time where we go double Hans. Double Hans for double success. It's actually pretty threatening. We can quest for 4 and ping anything for 1+1. Okay, we can quest for 2 and ping anything for 1. As Dragonfire just takes out one of our threats. Ooh, and Aladdin exerts. We could go in and fight Aladdin. But I think in this case we ping the small one, play a Tinkerbell, and fire the cannon on Aladdin here. Quest. Play a big Tinkerbell. Yeah, I might as well play the fire the cannon since we have the ink for it. And we'll pass the turn back. Opponent should be quite motivated to take out our Hans. Also need to be careful about another whole new world. Maui comes in. Then a Gaston. Okay, so the opponent is heavy on threats. Well, we're gonna go with the very non-committal Hades. Picks up a Hades. Playing a Hades. To pick up a big Hades. And do we quest with Tinkerbell is the question. If we do, Maui's gonna take her out for breakfast. But then we get to play our own Tinkerbell. Ping and boat. Nah. Let's just wait. It's not like these characters can quest for a lot. They're reckless for a reason. Okay. Tinkerbell comes in on the opponent's side of the field. Pings everything. Maybe we just go King of Olympus. I think so. Just hard-casted Hades. Nothing wrong with that. A 3-quester at this time. But if the opponent sings a whole new world... Oh no! Oh no! Our opponent takes out our small Hadesies. We find a Tekka. Well, before our opponent takes out all of our stuff, I guess we better start healing. Heal Tinkerbell. Draw 2. I kind of like that smash. That Maximus not looking too great. Let's play a captain. Pick up a fire to cannon and might as well take out that Gaston. And that'll be our turn. Just both players looking at each other. Respecting Be Prepared. Respecting a whole new world. Inking a card like that really telegraphs a whole new world. Alright. Well, we find a Hades. Our opponent didn't sing it, because they don't want to create a vulnerability for Tinkerbell to start doing her thing. So there's no Be Prepared this turn. And we can quest for how much? 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Opponent starts questing with the Tinkerbell. Okay. Then readies her back with the shield. We find another Captain Hook. So here we can go Hades, Hook, Fire to Cannon, which I do like. Hades, pick up a small Hades. Fire to Cannon to take out small Hook, because it's just mildly annoying. We'll play another Captain Hook to pick up a Fire to Cannon, so we're at the ready for next turn, and suddenly Hades can quest for 4. There we go. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's what I call a turn. And we can ink a Tinkerbell. I don't think she's going to be overly useful. And chaining Hadesies into the big Hades is a very viable play. Although our opponent's likely to take out the small Hades. It's just too threatening. If we can play the small one, pick up a King of Olympus, shift it on the small Hades, that's just devastating for our opponent. But King of Olympus doing some work. Yeah. Opponent targets appropriately. Small Hook and the ink pool. And our series of huge threats. He's doing some work as a Maleficent Dragon comes in. Goodbye, Rapunzel. You will be missed on our side of the battlefield. Alright, well, Hades. Pick up a Hades. To play a Hades. Pick up another one. Because each of these is a lethal threat. And I guess we fired a cannon here. I don't think I have a use for Tekka anymore. Let's just take out that Tinkerbell. Troublesome Fairy as we pass the turn back. Can our opponent handle our pressure? Okay, Aladdin decides to take out one of our lore. Opponent hardcasted Big Aladdin. But that's not good enough, because Hades can get his big version that we can shift. And that shifted version can quest for game. And that's how you do it. The King of the Underworld and the King of Olympus just keep on coming back, and it's too much for opponent to handle. Let's aim to rule Olympus using Hades and his armada of pirates. No Hades to be seen. Well, actually, there is one here, but it's a small version, which we'll send back to our deck. Actually, let's just send everything back. There's nothing too great about this hand. I'm really digging for a lantern. And we draw a very similar hand. A lot of uninkables, unfortunately. I'll start by inking a beast, and that'll be all. Sapphire cards getting inked by our opponent, and a Simba comes in, protecting nothing. Just the way we like it. We'll send a smash to the ink pile, pass the turn right back. Since the only thing we can play is fire the cannon, and I'm not too fond of letting a Simba live. Mickey Mouse, Ramp Master comes in battlefield, and Simba quests. Find another fire the cannon. That's the problem with that card. When you draw too many of it, it's not really good. I have to be careful about my uninkable count here. So I think I'm gonna double fire the cannon instead of smashing, which is ink inefficient and card inefficient, but ensures that I have something inkable for next turn. And I do have an army of 4-drops in hand. Ooh, an item. I regret throwing away that beast. The Eye of the Fates. Meaning that Mickey can quest for 2. That is fine, not overly threatening. We will ink our Stitch and play Captain Hook. Fetch us another cannonball. I've missed playing that card. Played it quite a lot with the proxies initially before we got all of the power songs. And Grab Your Sword just overtook it completely. It's a fun card to play. Just a small targeted removal spell. Alright, well, Mickey Mouse is primed to be damaged. So let's take out Mickey. Opponent drew a card off of that Robin Hood. Never a good thing. Maximus lines up pretty well against Robin Hook. So I don't think we'll keep the small hook, but still, we're gonna bodyguard our pirate. Because as we all know it, pirates love horses. Because horses are useful at sea? No, that can't be right. He's a palace horse. We're probably just selling the horse, then putting it on eBay and selling it for 3 times the price. No, that's what's happening with Lorcana. Sorry, I'm mixing things up, apparently. Eye of the Fates and Robin Hood is suddenly questing. So opponent let it go, took out our bodyguard, and decided not to go after Captain Hook. That's quite interesting. Alright, well, if that's the case, then we'll force the issue. Hook's gonna go and fight. We're gonna fire the cannons. I guess it would have made more sense if I fired a cannon while he was still alive, but I mean, zombie captains do what they want. And we'll play Maximus just to be ink efficient. And I think we keep the smash. Opponent's on 8 ink. Lots of scary stuff available. Opponent lets it go yet again. Alright, well, soon you'll run out of let it goes. Here's a Tekka. Have fun with that. Please don't remove it. I like my Tekka. Nice level 5/5. Alright, fill. We're a little short on ink, but well, we'll play Hades, fetch our Captain Hook. Ink or smash after all. Play the hook. Telegraph to our opponent that we are going to fire the cannon on that fill next turn, but for now, Tekka is going to quest. Gotta start questing at some point. And we're sitting with 3 villains on the battlefield. With 8 ink in the ink pool, now would be a good time to draw the Master of the Underworld. Actually, what is his actual title? Big Daddy Hades? No. King of Olympus. Alright, well, we definitely want to fire the cannon on that. Oh, wait a second. What's in my discard? Just to fire the cannon. So maybe we can start stacking up fire the cannons. Alright. Let's send Hook to go and fight Phil. Yeah, I kind of wanted Hook to die there. Should have sent Hades against Phil. Oh well. Mistakes were made. Do we play a Hades with no target? It kind of feels bad. Let's do it anyways. It applies pressure. And we'll fire the cannon once. Just a little warning shot for Stitch. Don't come close to our boat with your little surfboard. Opponent sings, be our guest. I don't know about that singing. I mean, singing is good, but finding a Stitch. Oh, okay. Okay, and the Carefree Surfer again. 2 Carefree Surfers. So that's how Stitches deal with villains and pirates. They just call in more Stitch friends. But now we're in a very interesting spot where we get to play a Hades. We can potentially shift it and then quest for 1, 2, 3, 4. That's nice. That is quite neat. Let's go for it. King of Olympus. Go on and quest for 4. And then what do we do? It'd be nice to utilize Tekka's ability, but we can just quest. Let's just quest with everything. I mean, we have the King of Olympus on the battlefield. Our opponent must answer it because we have a lot of villains. And with a lot of villains comes a lot of response, a lot of lore. Opponent decides to go after the villain count instead of going after the big bad Hades. Rapunzel comes in, heals the surfer. First aid after that big wave. Second Rapunzel, more healing, more card draw. If this game does not end soon, we are in big trouble. But the opponent doesn't have the power to take out Hades. And Hades can quest for quite a bit, especially since we have double Hades next turn. Actually, we can already quest for lethal, but we will humor. No, the opponent's not letting us go Hades into King of Olympus, quest for 5. But that was the writing on the wall and on the battlefield, and we just had enough. Surprisingly, the King of Olympus just took our opponent by surprise, and the bunch of lore that we got out of that managed to put us far enough with a lore count to win the game, because our opponent was getting a lot of cards, a lot of board presence, and was going to start questing pretty fast. That's actually a good win for Hades. I like it. Let's see if we can get some villains in play. We do have a big Hades, a small Hades, and a plethora of inkable cards. I kind of wish we had a lantern. Let's send a couple of our top end back. Okay, 3 drop, 4 drop, that's nice. Let's start by inking Tekka. Playing our first villain of the game, Mr. Captain Hook. Very good early game pressure character, or really a defensive character. He can trade with pretty much anything early on. Not sure if I want to keep the Smash or the Tinkerbell. Let's keep the Tinkerbell. Might as well quest. Opponent has nothing in play. I don't think there's anything threatening that'll rush on turn 2. Sapphire cards for our opponent. Opponent is ramping. I really want to play that Hans. I don't think the opponent has many items, so we're going to ink the Beast to make our turn 3 play of Tinkerbell. Then keep on questing with the Captain. Not what he's known for, but I mean, he has a lantern and everything. He's well equipped to quest when there's nothing threatening on the other side. The second he sees it with his lantern, he's like, whoa, I back out. Draw your sword. Then manage the sword and lantern. Opponent plays a Mickey Mouse. And we find a lantern. Fortunately, we can't play the lantern and have the Hans in the same turn. We're going to have to play the lantern. It's pretty guaranteed. I think we're going to have to ink the Hans here. Actually, I should have activated Tinkerbell's ability. One of rare cases where it is relevant. Find a fire to cannon, not what I wanted. Let's send that to the discard pile. Quest for 1 with the Captain Hook yet again. Then we'll pass the turn back. Hook the Heavy Quester. Not really part of the game plan, but we adapt. The opponent's been ramping like crazy, and we've been applying almost no pressure, so that is very bad for us. But with the lantern, we do have some ramp of our own, as the opponent plays a 3/6 Maleficent to the board. A card that has been seeing quite a bit of play. Just pure stats cards have a use, but they must have a lot of stats and be there just at the right time. Alright. What are we gonna play here? I think we want to play King of Olympus. So let's activate Tinkerbell. Draw a card. Send a Hades to the discard? I was gonna send the Hades and then play Hades. But now it's quite tempting to go after a Hook. Let's do that. Captain Hook. You come into play and pick up the fire cannon that we threw away with Tinkerbell's ability. And we have 1 ink remaining, so we might as well fire the cannon on that Maleficent. Which I'm likely going to regret as soon as our opponent plays a Rapunzel next turn. But I wanted to be ink efficient. How much does that big Hades shift for? 6? 6. I think we need more ink, so Hans, I'm sorry, but it's time to say goodbye. And we'll pass the turn. I think it's the first game that I've had to activate Tinkerbell's ability so much. The small one, that is. Opponent inks a Mr. Smee. Haven't seen that card in a while, and for good reasons. No! The opponent forces us to discard our pair of Hadesies. That is terrible. Discard 2 when your opponent only has 2 cards in hand is such a devastating effect. We find Captain Hook once more. We're going to pick up Fire the Cannons yet again, and we have enough ink, so we might as well take out that Stitch. And Hook will take out Mickey Mouse and live to tell the tale, and the rest of our squad gets the quest. Not so bad. We need to apply some kind of pressure to our opponent before they make use of all these extra cards that they have. But we are playing a lot of very powerful cards in our deck, and expensive ones, so our top deck odds are pretty decent here. Then we find a Maximus. Yeah, Maximus can bodyguard. As we quest for 1 with all our small characters. The opponent doesn't have mass removal. It's Sapphire Amber. So the worst they have are banish my characters, and I get some ink with cards like Let It Go or Hades. Amber doesn't have much removal, so we're safe just blindly going wide here. Stitch, Surfer Dude, draws our opponent some cards. 4-8. Draw 2 cards if you have 2 more characters in play. That's a lot of cards. Their opponent still has 3 cards in hand, starting to get some big beaters on the battlefield. But with all that, we are sitting at 9 ink. 9 lore. The thing that we get by questing. Opponent sings a Be Our Guest. Finds the Infernal Schemer. Top deck of Tinkerbell is pretty nice. Might as well just hardcast her. Paying everything for 1. Opponent will obviously put her in the ink pile. And now we just keep on applying some pressure. We can make our Captain Hook huge thanks to Maximus's ability, which is completely meaningless in this situation, but we'll do it anyways because we can. I guess I can highlight Tinkerbell because she just pinged something. Yes, and she's going straight to exile, so maybe I should highlight the Infernal Schemer, the super powerful Hades. It'd be a nice matchup of Hadesies if our opponent didn't force us to discard ours. Such a shame. I mean, we're trying to display some villains here, and you do such a mean thing. It's almost like you're the bad guy. But these are the bad guys. Just slowly questing. I mean, this guy's questing with a lantern, and he's questing with cannons. I mean, to each his or her own way, I guess. Now, if the opponent plays Hades, banish our Tinkerbell, we quest for 5. And we don't win the game on the spot, but the opponent is so far behind, they need to come up with something. I guess banishing Maximus and then doing some trades with what we have might give our opponent a bit of a better shot at longevity here. Yeah, something like that. So Hades banished our Maximus. Stitch and Maleficent are going to combat. Now we can quest for 5 and almost win as we find a copy of Tekka. It's also very tempting to just go to combat with Tinkerbell because we can 2 for 1. Take out Stitch, live with 1, ping Maleficent. It's very tempting. I might just go for that. And we'll resolve a Tekka, quest for 3. And we are very threatening lethal for next turn. Hades pretty much has to fight Tinkerbell. Opponent has to have another Hades for Tekka. And another source of removal. And that's just to live till next turn. Opponent takes out our Tinkerbell. Looking in the face of our heartless deity, Tekka. Playing the heartwarming deity, Rapunzel, because she draws and heals, but is not quite enough in this situation. Opponent's at 7, Hades sends Tekka to the ink, but it's not enough. Then we take the game. I hope that you enjoyed this video featuring the Villainous Pirates deck list, a different flavor of Steel Amber that reminds us of the time when I was playing with proxies before the release of Lorcana, the formal release that is. A lot of fun stuff happening, a lot of recursion, a lot of ping pangs with fire to cannons, and it just felt great playing these games with that deck. It's a fun deck to play. I'd encourage you to try it out. I can feel a little slow at sometimes, definitely not a tier 1 competitive list, but it held its own pretty well in the games as we've seen. Again, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below how you feel about villains, where you think villains are going, and whether you just like playing villains because you want to be the bad guy for a change, and then you go back to playing princesses or something. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.